Hey guys, John here from Unleash WP. I'm gonna go over how to set up better WP security and do some hardening of WordPress just after you've installed it. So here we are, we have our beautiful island and some clouds, which is not why you're here. So I'm gonna demonstrate this. I'm using MAMP to run a local version of WordPress, and I have it right here. So I've already logged in. I'm here. This is just a clean version of WordPress. I just installed it. There's nothing going on. It's just basically what you will see after you've installed WordPress. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is just go through and we want to do some hardening of WordPress. We want to just make sure that it's secure and not super easily compromised. The way we can do that, there's a couple of ways. We could go and find some code snippets and put in a bunch of code snippets into some files, or we could use this plugin, Better WP Security, which does the same thing but provides like a graphical user interface for it. So the first thing we need to do is just install it. So we want to go to plugins. I'm going to go to add new, and we're just going to search for it. Better WP Security. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to type the name in exactly, just as long as it comes up. Okay, so we're going to install it. We're going to hit OK. Wait for it to go. We're going to just make sure everything's all right, and then we're going to go ahead and hit activate right now. And lo and behold, we have Better WP Security already set up. You'll see here there's a little security menu item. You can use that and click there to access this, or you can just click settings, which is what we're going to do. The first thing that it does is ask you to make a backup of your database. This is super important. You definitely want to do this. It's going to email it to the administrator, which happens to be me right here. JohnNBuckingham@gmail.com is my email. So it's completed it, and it's going to email me, which is going to be great because I'll have a little backup. If you mess something up in here, which you could do, you'll have a nice, easy way to restore it. And so it's really good to have that backup. I would definitely recommend always making that backup before you go in and changing these, even if you're on a new install. Definitely do that. Okay, so now the next question is, do you want to let it change these two files? The answer is yes, you do. If you don't, a lot of the other things can't be changed. It can't do much. So this is just going to change the stuff in the htaccess file and in wp-config.php. That will be to your benefit to allow it to do that. So I always click allow. That's the next question is going to be, do you want to just do some basic securing, basic hardening? This will just do some automatic stuff, nothing that'll mess anything up, just some really quick stuff to just keep people from breaking into your site. So the answer is yes, we do want to do that. So we are going to click that button and wait a million years. Aha. So once we got that running, it's now going to bring us to the dashboard. Here we are in the dashboard tab, and it's just going to tell us essentially some things that we're doing good, some things we're doing dangerous, some things we're doing that are potentially dangerous but could cause problems with conflicts with other stuff. And they have a nice little legend or a key down here to kind of explain what's going on. So the first thing I do is I go to backup. If I haven't created a backup, then you want to enable this. Either way, you want to enable this. So yeah, go here, go to backups, and just enable this. Let it go. If you have an e-commerce site or a blog or something you're doing a lot, set it to 1 day. If not, if you're only updating every few days, set it to 3 days. I like to set it to 1 day. It just backs up every day, and that way if something happens, I'll have a backup for that day. It's good. I usually turn emails off, and it'll save that to the server because I get really tired of getting a million emails every single day with like, hey, here's a backup. So yeah, I let it keep 10 files. This is how many files it's going to keep on the server. I let it keep 10, and then I just hit save. If we hadn't created a backup, then I would want to go up here and create a database backup. Because we have, I'm not going to click that because there was already one created just a minute ago. Okay, next step. That's pretty simple, right? That's not too hard. The next step is to go back to the dashboard and see what we've got going on. See what reds we've got. Looks like we have a user ID with the ID of 1. So we can just click here and change it. I have already set up, when I installed WordPress, I already set up a user that didn't have this name. I used my own name. This is really, really important. You do not want to have admin as your user. If you do, this will give you an option to change it, and you want to change it for sure. It's super important that you have no users named admin in your WordPress installation. This will allow, if you do, it just gives people half of the equation to attack your site and try to guess your password, and they can just guess hundreds of thousands of passwords, and there's a pretty strong chance they could get in if they already have the user. So you wanna change this for sure. Okay, so now we've changed the ID, and we're gonna go back to the dashboard, and we're gonna look. It says we're enforcing strong passwords, but not for all users. This is kind of a yellow thing, so we can change it. It's better. This takes us to the tweaks tab right here. And strong password tweaks. It says enforce strong passwords. So here's the roles that it's going to do. We just want to set this to subscriber. The only time you would want to not set it to subscriber is if you have an install like an e-commerce site or something where you're letting people create passwords on your site. This can really annoy people and can frustrate them, and they won't actually buy anything from you. So if it's in that sort of situation, maybe don't set this. If it's in any other situation, I'd say go ahead. It's important that people are creating strong passwords, because if not, again, you have more security issues. So go ahead and set that to subscriber and hit save changes. Okay, so that's good. Now let's go back to the dashboard. All right, so good. Non-administrators cannot see available updates. Here we've got our table prefix. Let's take a look at this. I've already changed it, but we'll go ahead and change it again. Normally, the table prefix would be WP underscore, right? That's pretty insecure. It allows hackers or people trying to compromise your site a base for getting in. They know what all this stuff, what your tables are called already, so you want to just change it. You definitely want to have a backup, as this says, backup your database. So we've already created one, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to change the database table prefix. So here we go, clicking it to change it, and the database prefix is changed. So now I just generated a random string of characters, and as you can see, we're still here. Nothing's broken, nothing's going on. Sometimes this actually does go wrong. It actually goes to an error page and says, "Oh, bad gateway" or something. You can literally just navigate back to your site right here, and it'll be fine. All you have to do is just navigate back, go back to security, and it'll be changed, and your site will be fine. If in some cases it's not, you need to restore your backup. So be aware of that before you do this. It's better to just set this up when you're installing WordPress. So. All right, here we go. We're back to the dashboard, and we've got this. I don't actually use this because it can be pretty messy, but I'll go over it. Here we are. It's away mode. Basically, it locks down. It locks down your WordPress install at certain times of day, so you can do it only once, and you can have a specific time and date that happens, or you can do it every day and set a time bracket. This is really important if you're going to do this, to go to the WordPress General Settings page. So we'll open that in a new tab. Here it is, Settings General. If this doesn't have your local time, see, since it's 5:50 in the morning, then it will, if we set this to lock us out between 12 and, say, I don't know, 7, it would lock us out of the site immediately, and then we wouldn't be able to get in or do anything. So it's super important that you go here and set this. We're on UTC -8, I think. So we'll go ahead and save those changes, making sure that this is the correct time. So here we go. Local time is 21:50. Nope, I lied. UTC 7. Daylight savings time. Okay, so now it's 22:50 and 50 seconds. Perfect. So now that we've got that set, we could, if we wanted to, set this up to work. It would lock us out from 12 o'clock to 7 to check this, and then go to that daily. See, this warns you. Be careful. Set it to the daily, which uses these slots, and you could lock everyone out. No one will be able to access this at all. This is good. You're obviously not updating your site most of the time at late at night, and so it's good if someone's trying to attack your site. They just can't get in. The downside of this is if you're working with people on the other side of the globe, or maybe their daytime is your nighttime, this can be a problem. So I'm actually going to turn that off and just leave it off. Back to the dashboard. You are not blocking known bad hosts and agents with hackrepairs.com's blacklist? ? Okay, so we're just gonna enable this. Here we go. Enable default banned list. This uses a list from hackrepair.com. Oops, I did the wrong one. Let's see. There we go. Basically, this guy's compiled a list of bad sites that are attacking you. It's nice. It's good that he just provided it for us, and we can just put it directly in our htaccess and ban these people. That's what we're going to do. We're going to say enable default ban list, yes, and then we're going to say add host and agent blacklist. We're also going to enable banned users. We're not going to add any banned hosts because we've already done that here. But what we're going to do is just make this possible. So, okay, here we go. We've got some good stuff going on. We've taken care of the user, we're taking care of the away mode, and we're taking care of the ban. Let's go to this dir. I never use this. I never changed this. I know some guys that have, and Jason actually has done this. It's caused problems for him in the past. I don't ever change it, even on a new install, because so many plugins and themes require WP content to exist. They depend on it to be there. It's so common. So I don't ever change this. If you use this on an existing site, it will break every image or any content you have in here. It will really mess things up. I would really recommend not changing this. If you're adventurous, feel free to do so, but only do it on a new install. So, and definitely back things up before that. I would leave this alone, but it's up to you. All right, we've already covered backup. I'm not going to go back there. Covered prefix. Let's go to hide. I don't actually do anything with this either. This just lets you change the words that you can type in. I don't ever do it, but you could if you wanted to. And here you can generate a new secret key. I'm not going to do that either. See what we've got in detect. Close this guy real quick. Alright, we're doing 404 detection. So here we've got a little description. 404 detection looks at a user who is hitting a large number of non-existent pages. It says they're basically scanning for something, and it says probably a vulnerability in your site. So it just locks them out. It says, okay, if you hit this many pages that don't exist, bam, you're done. So we're going to leave this on. We are going to disable this. Or I usually disable this because I don't like getting a million emails from these people. If you do disable this, there will still be a log. You can come in and check it. It's not like you won't have any idea. And this, I usually leave this to 5 minutes. And I leave the error threshold to 20. If a host or a user does get locked out, it gets locked out for 15 minutes. I usually leave that too. And basically it's just like, hey, stop doing that. You're not allowed to do that. So it just locks them out for a time and they can't get back in. I usually don't check the blacklist repeat offender because this could ban you from your own site if you have a lot of errors or non-existent pages on your site. This could actually ban you and cause a problem. So I don't use this particular blacklist. If I did, this would determine how many times a person got locked out before they got banned permanently. If you're worried about getting locked out, you can set your IP in here. I like to enable file change detection. A lot of times, this requires a lot of memory on your server. So if you don't have 128 megs of memory on this, it probably won't work very well. I do, or I should. No, nope. I guess my server's not set up for that. So it gives this little warning. Hey, you don't have 128 megabytes of RAM. You need to do that. It could cause problems. So I'll also say, okay, this is a local install. It's not a problem. And then I'm going to turn this off. If this is a client site, it will freak people out. And if it's just my site, it'll annoy me. So I turn it off. And again, no emails. These emails are so irritating. When I first found this plugin, I thought it was great. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. Give me all the emails. And then after 2 days, my inbox is just flooded with emails that I don't want. So I don't use it. I don't use the emails. I just check the logs. So after we've got all that, we just hit save. And it's saving. The file change detection just scans your entire site and just makes sure nothing has changed. And it lets you know when something has changed. So if someone did compromise your site and something changed, it would let us know. If you have the ability to actually run this, I say do it. It's super important. All right, let's check out login. We're almost done. We almost made it through. Login limits. This prevents people from running a brute force attack. This is really super useful. Here we are at max login attempts per host. This determines the host by their IP address. So if someone tries to log in 5 times and is it not successful, then they'll get locked out. So how long will they get locked out for? 15 minutes. This is how long they get locked out. This is how long it looks for someone to be locked out. It says, if you fail within 5 minutes, okay, you're locked out for 15. I like to change this to at least 30, sometimes 60, depending on my mood. Basically, it depends on how secure the site needs to be. If it's a pretty intense site, then I usually have this number higher. This can be a problem for people who actually do fail their login 5 times, and then they get locked out. You'll have to log in here, and yeah, you'll have to release the lockout, and it's kind of annoying. So keep this in mind. If it's a shorter amount of time, then you just be like, okay, just wait an hour, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, I usually blacklist repeat offenders, and that threshold I usually leave to 3. I turn off email notifications because I don't want to receive email notifications. Sometimes I like to reduce this to 5. This says max login attempts per user. So if someone is switching IPs or like coming at you with some kind of botnet, this will allow them a little bit more time. I usually turn this to 5 because I don't want them to have more time or more attempts. So yeah, 555 usually works for me. So then you save these changes and you are set to go. Let's see what else we've got. SSL. Unless you know what SSL is, don't change this. If you do know what SSL is, use this. It's great. It is helpful. You should definitely use this if you have an SSL Secure Socket Layer certificate. If not, this will lock you out of your site and cause a bunch of problems. So don't enable it if you don't have this. It'll be something that something you do with your server. So yeah, just leave that alone. All right, now the tweaks. My favorite area. This does a lot of stuff, and a lot of it's really powerful. For a basic WordPress site, I usually just try to go through and just check them all. I've only had one problem, and that's on this query string where I was writing a forced download script and it caused some issues with that. Otherwise, I didn't have any issues. This basically, all of these are just different ways that people can compromise your site. They're not necessarily only used to compromise sites, but they're ways that you can get in, and it just kind of helps to provide some protection. This unless you're using like a Flickr plugin or something that uses the XML RPC services, then you don't need this. You can just take it out, remove it. It's a good idea to remove that. These are all set by the basic setup, and we've already set that. So we'll go down here. It says, yes, allow the right to WordPress core files. This is that question that we saw in the beginning. And then we're going to say, sure, do that. Reduce comment spam. It's denying comments from bots with no refer. So that's helpful. I usually do not turn this on until I'm all done making any changes. This can cause a lot of annoyances. If you're getting in and you're accessing these files, this can be really annoying to have on because then you can't make changes and that's a problem. If you're not making any changes to these files, definitely check this. You don't want people to be able to change. You don't want people to be able to write to these files. The wp-config.php and .htaccess files, yeah, no one should be writing to that. You should be the only one that's even able to do that. We are, let's see, we're gonna display random version numbers to all non-administrative users. I haven't tested this thoroughly, but I've never had a problem with it when I have used it. Unless you're having some severe issue with a plugin or something, go ahead and turn this on. This again, you should be able to turn this on without any serious issues, and this is probably a good idea to turn on. So we've done all those tweaks, and we hit Save Changes. So that is how you set up Better WP Security. That's how I set it up, and it works really well. This guy that writes this is super smart. He did a really good job. The last thing I want to cover is the logs. This actually shows you everything that's going on. They're tracking all the bad login entries, all the 404 errors. These are pages that don't exist. Old lockouts, changed file records, etc., etc., etc. Here in the current lockouts, it'll show you what you have, all the guys that are locked out of your site. If this is somebody you don't want to be locked out, you can just release the lockout. You get a little checkbox, and then you just release the lockout. It shows you 404 errors. This shows you bad login attempts. This shows you all lockouts, and then this shows you changed files. It says, oh, a file was changed. No, not actually. 1,700 files were added. So, yeah, this is just gives you a kind of an idea of what you've got going on your site. Okay, guys, that's how you set up Better WP. I hope you found this broadcast informative, and I hope you check back at Unleash WP for more awesomeness. Thanks!